In the heart of Igboland, where the spirits speak through the rustle of palm fronds and fate is woven into everyday life, a single gift from an elder could be a blessing, or a chain. This is how one young woman's destiny was sealed, not with gold, but with a secret thread. The sun, a fierce, unblinking disk of brass, beat down on the red earth of Umwofia, baking the village in a familiar, drowsy heat. The air shimmered over the thatched roofs, and the only sounds were the distant squawk of chickens and the rhythmic thud-thud of pestles and mortars as women prepared the evening meal. For young Adiz, however, the serene pulse of the village felt like a taunting contrast to the whirlwind spinning inside her. At 19, her life was a confluence of excitement and a deep, unspoken fear. In a week she would be married, leaving the familiar, comforting shadows of her father's compound for a new life across the muddy, winding river that marked the boundary of her known world. Her trousseau was ready, beautiful aquite cloth woven by her mother, copper bracelets from her father, and pots seasoned with hope. Yet, a hollow anxiety nestled beneath her ribs. Marriage was a crossing into uncharted territory, not just of place, but of spirit. Would her new husband be kind? Would the water in his village agree with her skin? Would the unseen forces in that foreign compound be hostile? On the eve of her departure, as the setting sun painted the sky in shades of burnt orange and purple, the summons came. It was not from her chattering, tearful mother, but from the village's oldest woman, Maman Kechi. She lived on the quiet edge of the village, her hut nestled under the gloomy shade of an ancient ogbu tree. Maman Kechi's back was bent like a bow that had released all its arrows, her skin a map of wrinkles etched by countless dry seasons. Her eyes, milky at the edges but piercingly dark at the center, were said to hold the weight of all the stories ever told in Umwofia. They saw not just the present, but the shadow of what was to come. With her heart drumming a frantic rhythm against her chest, Adiz approached the hut. The air grew cooler, the cheerful village sounds fading, replaced by the dense, silent hum of the forest. She announced herself at the low entrance, her voice barely a whisper. "Come in, Nwam," a voice dry as rustling dry leaves, called from within. Adiz ducked inside. The gloom was profound, pierced only by a single shaft of light from a small smoke hole. The air was thick and complex, a potent blend of drying herbs, camwood powder, and the deep earthy smell of aged clay pots. Maman Kechi sat on a low stool, a spectral figure in the dimness. She did not smile, but her gaze was intent, studying Adiz as one might study a path before a long journey. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, with hands that trembled slightly but moved with deliberate purpose, she reached for a small, nondescript bundle of plain cloth beside her. Unwrapping it, she revealed not jewelry or a talisman of wood, but a simple hand-woven akwu, a woman's undergarment. The fabric was unusually coarse, like the bark of a gentle tree, and dyed a deep, unremarkable indigo. But as Maman Kechi held it up, Adiz, her eyes adjusting, saw they were threaded with subtle, strange patterns, not the familiar geometric uli designs, but intricate, looping symbols that seemed to move in the faint light, like tiny, sleeping serpents or coiled vines. "Come closer, Ada," Maman Kechi commanded softly. Adiz knelt on the hard-packed earth floor. The old woman leaned forward, and the scent of old wisdom and mysterious herbs enveloped her. Maman Kechi pressed the coarse akwu into Adiz's trembling hands. The fabric felt alive, humming with a faint, dormant energy. "Child," the crone whispered, her breath a cool wisp against Adiz's feverish cheek. "Listen to an old woman's words. Where you are going, not all eyes that smile at you are friendly. Not all winds that blow are just winds. You must wear this. Always. Let it touch your skin, your very core, every moment, in sleep and in waking." Her bony fingers tightened around Adiz, pressing the fabric into her palms. "Never take it off. Your life, and the life of the home you will build, will depend on this one thread." The words hung in the herb-scented air, solid and heavy as iron. They were not a blessing, but a solemn charge. A shiver, cold and sharp as water from the stream at midnight, tore through Adiz's body, cutting through the oppressive heat of the day and the warm gloom of the hut. It was the chill of destiny settling on her shoulders. She looked from the mysterious garment to the ancient, unblinking eyes before her. This was her true farewell gift from Umwofia, not a celebration of the past, but a fierce woven armor for a future she could not yet see. Clutching the akwu to her chest, she understood nothing and everything all at once. Her journey had already begun. The mighty river Niger was not just a body of water, It was a roaring, churning deity, its brown currents carrying the silt of distant lands and the whispered secrets of countless villages along its banks. To Adiz, arriving at her new husband Amadi's compound in the riverside village of Omiala, the sound was a constant, thunderous companion to her new life. It was here, amidst the river's breath and the vibrant, unfamiliar rhythms of the marketplace, that she began to weave her destiny, with the coarse akwu as her unseen, foundational thread. At first, its rough touch against her skin was a sharp daily reminder of Mama Nkechi's grave warning, a tactile whisper of the world of spirits and consequences she had left behind in Umofia. She would feel it as she pounded yam, a slight chafe with each lift of the pestle. She would be aware of it in the quiet of the night, a tangible presence between her and the soft sleeping mat. Yet, as seasons turned, the initial discomfort transformed into a strange comfort. The garment became like a second skin, a constant reassuring weight, as if the old woman's protective hands were forever resting on her shoulder. Her life, against the backdrop of the roaring river, did not just settle, it flourished. Amadi, a broad-shouldered fisherman with a laugh as deep as the river itself, proved to be a kind and hard-working man. Their love was not a fiery explosion, but a steady, warming flame. Adiz's homestead became a testament to her diligence. Her yam barns swelled to overflowing, their tubers large and robust. She bore 3 strong children, whose laughter cut through the river's drone like sunlight. She navigated the complex social currents of Omiala with a calm grace, offering shrewd advice in women's circles and brewing remedies for childhood fevers that worked with quiet efficacy. Soon she was not just Amadi's wife from across the river, but Adiz, the one whose juju for prosperity is strong. And it was this very prosperity that began to stir the still waters of envy. Where Adiz heard the river's mighty song, others began to hear a different, more sinister whisper. At the village well, women would fall silent as she approached, only to resume a hissed conversation after she passed. Her luck is too straight, they would murmur. No blight touches her yams. Even the river gives her husband the fattest fish. What has she done? What does she wear? The questions were never direct, but they hung in the humid air, as persistent as mosquitoes. The only direct confrontation came not from a jealous neighbor, but from the place she felt safest, her own hearth. One evening, after a good season, Amadi presented her with a gift, a beautiful machine-woven akwu, soft as a cloud and patterned with delicate yellow threads. It was a modern luxury, bought from a trader from the distant coast. "My beautiful wife," he said, pulling her close with affectionate pride. "You work so hard. You should wear something fine, something worthy of the mother of my children. Throw away that old, rough thing you came with. Let us burn it and forget the past." His words, meant with love, struck a chord of cold terror in Adiz's heart. The memory of Mama Nkechi's hut, the dim light, the scent of herbs, the ironclad command, flooded back. She saw those milky, knowing eyes as clearly as if the old woman stood before her. She took the new garment, smiling softly at his kindness, and folded it away with great care. "Thank you, my husband. It is beautiful. But the old one, it is a tie to my mother's land. A comfort. It would feel like a betrayal to discard it. Please, let me keep it." Amadi's smile faltered, just for a second, replaced by a flicker of pure bewilderment. In his world, the new replaced the old, progress was embraced. Her gentle, firm refusal made no logical sense. It was a tiny opaque mystery about the woman he thought he knew completely. A seed of puzzled doubt was planted, not of suspicion, but of a faint, unnameable distance. He shrugged and let it be, but the moment lingered. From that day, the akwu became more than a secret. It became a silent, unseen stitch in the very fabric of their thriving lives. It was the one thread Adiz dared not cut, the singular obedience to an ancient law, holding the tapestry of their happiness together, while the world, and even her beloved husband, wondered what pattern it truly wove. For years, the akwu was a silent covenant known only to Adiz. But peace, like the level sands by the river Niger, is always vulnerable to the flood. The conflict began not with a shout, but with a sly creeping thing, a dispute over a strip of fertile land bordering Amadi's compound. The neighbor, Okeke, a man whose envy had festered since Adiz's first bountiful yam harvest, refused all reason. Meetings at the elders' council turned to heated arguments, and heated arguments curdled into dark, muttered threats. One evening, as Amadi returned from the fields, Okeke stood at the boundary, his eyes glinting with more than anger. "Your wife's luck has blinded you," he hissed. but the eyes that see in the dark are open. The wind will soon change for your house. It was not a threat of physical force, but of ague, of mystical harm. That night, a heavy, unnatural silence blanketed the compound, and the air grew cold despite the season. Days later, a true storm descended, both of nature and of spirit. The sky turned the color of bruised flesh, and the wind howled down from the north, not like air, but like a chorus of aggrieved spirits. It ripped at the thatched roofs and bent the palm trees to their roots. Inside their hut, Adiz felt the familiar coarse fabric of the akwu grow warm, then pulse with a subtle rhythmic heat against her skin, a warning she alone could feel. Deep in the night, Amadi awoke to a searing sensation, not of light, but of a presence. He opened his eyes to a sight that froze the blood in his veins. The hut was dark, but from where Adiz lay sleeping, a network of faint luminous lines, the very patterns woven into the akwu, emanated like ghostly blue vines. They spiraled out, weaving an intricate glowing net that enveloped their entire sleeping family, then expanded further, stitching a shimmering dome of protection over the whole compound. In the eerie, silent glow, he saw the storm outside not as wind, but as shadowy, clawing forms that raged against this luminous barrier, fracturing and dissolving upon contact. The guardian thread was no longer silent, it was shouting in a language of light. At dawn, the storm was gone. An unnatural calm lay over the land, and Okeke's compound was found strangely untouched, while others bore damage. But in Amadi's home, every soul and every building was preserved, not a single roof strand out of place. Shaken to his core, Amadi found Adiz by the hearth, her face serene. He did not ask, he simply knelt before her, taking her hands in his. The questions of years were quiet in his eyes, replaced by awe. Then, she told him. She spoke of Mom Nkechi's dim hut, of the weight of the gift, of the charge to never remove it. "It is not cloth, my husband," she whispered. "It is a prayer made thread. A shield woven by foresight. The old woman saw the envy on the path long before I walked it. She gifted me not with gold, but with guardian threads." Amadi understood then the profound depth of his wife's silent fidelity. Her obedience had been the quiet mortar holding their fortune together. From that day, he never questioned the old ways again. Adiz never took the akwu off. Safeguarded by wisdom and ancient craft, their lineage thrived for generations, their story becoming a whispered legend told by mothers to daughters, by elders to youths, beside the ever-roaring river. True fortune is not the wealth you display to the world, but the sacred trust you wear close to your skin, in faithful, unwavering silence. It was a testament that the most powerful protections are often the ones unseen, woven not just with thread, but with foresight and obedience.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Folktale by T Vibes.